You are listening to Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Let's jump into cryptocurrencies first. This 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart that you see here before you. And as we look at what is going on, we're going to focus primarily on most of these charts, if not all of them, on the weekly chart. Because remember, that is the chart that we buy on, and that is the trend. And again, we're looking at the biggest trend. We are not day traders. We're not looking to try to find small moves on small charts. Those tend to be market anomalies. We want to go with the big money in our practice trades on the actual shifts in overall trends. And of course, the biggest chart we use is the weekly chart. That's what we like to trade off of. What is happening with Bitcoin? Well, we go back to the beginning of December and we had seen things, sliding up a little bit and slowing in the growth. And then all of a sudden, beginning December, boom, popped up. And then as things moved along that next week, didn't hit the high of the prior week, but the following week, candle got smaller, high got a little higher. Then we got into the end of the year, and then this week, coming off with a bang to begin with, and then slowing down. And what we see on this latest candle right here, and I'm moving over to the left of it because these ticks here can give you the wrong impression of where things are on the actual candle itself in the wicks. We do see it is technically a spinning top. We've got a little bit of movement there on the bottom penetrating the trend line, more movement on the top, a small candle. Now, right now, as I record this on Thursday afternoon, 2.72% up, reaching a higher high this week. So again, we're still in the trade that we jumped into, practice trade on this one, but we are paying close attention as to where things might or might not be going. We look at the chart, the smaller chart, we can see where things really pulled back and then started ticking back up again. But again, paying attention to the 2-day chart, we can of course see that we came down and approached the weekly trend line and then sprang off of it, although we have some indecision here on the candle as it is forming. So we will wait, watch, and see. Ethereum, weaker, of course. We had a spinning top, almost a doji, back on the week beginning 18th of December. A little better that Christmas week. And then as we look at things this week, again, a doji with a lot of ranging back and forth. Look at the wick on the 2-day candle, really just sort of everywhere. So we are paying close attention to what Ethereum's up to. It's been so good to us since the jumping in point back in late October. Not saying we're pulling the trade on our practice trade at this point, but we are paying close attention to it. What about Bitwise, top 10 cryptocurrency index fund? Of course, it is weighted as per market share of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin being the big one. We had several weeks of a nice strong up movement, then a sideways sliding down, popping up some over the last 2 weeks. We got a bit of a spinning top here this week. Volume's okay. So again, we are paying attention. 2-day chart still staying above. If we do see a great pullback in Bitcoin in particular, since it's the big daddy that runs all this, we will pay close attention to that. But right now, just continuing to tick on up. That's where we are on cryptocurrencies. Let's move into commodities. We have been tracking for quite a while sugarcane as it rolled over going down. We can see that it's blown through the down trend line. Don't know that it's a change in trend yet. On the 2-day chart, we can see 3 2-day candles, which is really only 5 days because this is the first day of the latest 2-day candle. So we will pay attention to that, see which way that ends up going. That could be on your list. One on your naughty list here could be copper. Again, going up for many, many weeks. And of course, look at all that volume and look at the ranging price busting through that trend line that had been established for quite a while. Soybeans just continuing to move on down. Now, again, for cattle, for animals that eat soybeans and the humans that do, Of course, good news as it continues to range down and in fact accelerating. Not a lot of volume backing that up, but again, you can see particularly on the 2-day how these last 3 days really bounding down. What about the United States Gasoline Fund? Well, it tried to get itself going back on the week beginning the 18th of December, started dying on the vine that Christmas week or week after Christmas, Tuesday the 26th, starting it. And then, of course, this week, just again, moving lower. I don't really call that a trend line, not much of one. You don't establish a trend with 1 week up and another week of sagging, but at least gives us something to look at how it is falling. Natural gas. Now, interesting, it bottomed. We talked last week about the doji. We saw it slowing down here. We saw, high volume when things bottomed, then slowed down. And again, remember, the only thing about the color of the volume is when the color is green, it means the opening was higher than the prior close. When it's red, it means that the opening was lower than the prior close. That's all that means. They don't tell you that the volume is all selling. That's not what that means. So we saw things again blasting through the trend line last week. And then this week, popping up nicely on natural gas. For today alone, up 4.5%. And let's look at where oil is. Again, oil trying to pop up. And then just like we saw with gasoline, dying on the vine. That is where we are on our commodities. Now let's take a look at currencies around the world. We'll start first with the euro. Euro's sort of been, it moved up for several weeks, started to peel that off, down week. Then we saw, and again, volume not helping us at all here to help make a call on what to do. So when volume's not helping you, you just don't do it. But what did we see happen? Spinning top 2 weeks ago, last week popping up, this week popping up even more on the euro. What do we see going on with the British pound? Now, it got weak there at the beginning of December, but then tried to recover and move up. This week, though, blasting through that trend line. Look at all that volume. With that spinning top, again, somebody's buying, somebody's selling. Didn't have high volume here to tell you that everybody was getting out. So again, very confusing. I don't get into confusing situations. I like the volume to be telling me what I need to see. And of course, that's high volume on a bottom, high volume on a spinning top, turning around. Now, let's look at the Japanese yen. Had been going up for many weeks. This week, blowing right through the old trend line with a spinning top, volume not particularly helping us yet. We still have one more day in a short week, so we will pay attention to what happens with the yen as we move forward. Let's look at the Swiss franc. Again, got a green candle there, nowhere near what it did last week on that really high volume. Australian dollar, again, blasting down through the trend line, just a little red spinning top, almost a doji. And the Canadian dollar, not a spinning top. What we see there is just a red candle with some down movement on the wick. But again, moving way down and through the trend line. So that is where we are on cryptos, commodities, and currencies. And again, the reason we look at these every week is because there's something a little different. There's something interesting. It's fun to look at them. It's fun to look at the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart. Again, we typically look at the ETF, XBTF, which is the Bitcoin ETF, which is traded, of course, like ETFs and stocks. Not like what you see with Bitcoin on the 24-hour-a-day chart. But as I switch to it, you can see that in the end, it goes fairly close to it. So that's the reason we trade, is because, again, you want to practice how you will actually trade. I don't plan, this is just me, on ever opening up an account in a crypto exchange. I've seen too many problems with them. Hey, When you get ready to trade real money, you can make up your own mind as to what you want to do with your own money. That's up to you. We don't give market advice. We're an education firm. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.